we all have both jackal and giraffe in us, and the jackal really represents that part of us that, you know, we'd rather not see most of the time, but comes out and rears its head. And the giraffe really represents compassion and our big heart. And giraffes actually have the biggest hearts of all mammals. Their heart weighs 29 pounds. So that's why it really represents compassion. Everything everyone does is related to meeting needs. So let me give you an example. When we first decided to include this segment into the program, we worked with a woman who has been involved, very involved with the program, and she met with us as a family, and we were talking with her about, you know, issues, right? And one of the issues we talked about was our daughter Marina, who at the time was 4, probably about 4, right? And this girl could not sit still. You know, she was just up and running around. I'm sure if any of you have children, you might have experienced that in the past. But she just could not sit still. And Colin and I had a need for some peace and rest and quiet. And so we really just wanted her to be able to sit still for some of the time. And what Jean, who worked with us on compassionate communication, said, well, Marina is just trying to meet her need of movement. This girl needs to move. So you need to honor that need while also honoring your own need. And it really just turned around how we looked at it. It was no longer Marina's being a bad girl because she can't sit down and be quiet. It's that Marina has a need to move, much greater of a need than our older daughter had. So instead of making a judgment about her behavior or criticizing her or trying to control it, we adapted. And we did things like played games with her to have her go and do races while we counted or paid attention, but still she was very physically active. And we also, because where we lived then was kind of out in the country, and we had this big roof that was, whatever you call it, you know, like this, that had big wood beams in the middle. And we hung a swing, you know, a rope swing from the middle of our living room ceiling. So she could just swing on that rope while we sat and read or whatever. I mean, it worked, and she could climb up the rope. I mean, she really could just climb right up that rope. It was amazing. So that concept of thinking about when you're in conflict with somebody, or, you know, it's what is the need that that person is trying to meet. It doesn't mean that we always get all of our needs met. Sometimes we don't. But awareness and compromise and conversation helps. So we're going to look at a couple of statements here, and I'm going to ask you whether or not it's an observation or a judgment. Ron is messy, lazy, and disorganized. Judgment, clearly. Rajin completes projects. Observation. Sometimes what we would learn is that when it's a judgment, we would howl. And then that was sort of a funny thing in our family. So if somebody said something that was a judgment, it was like, howl! Ron's clothes are on the floor. Observation. Rajin is accomplished and dedicated. This is a trick. It's a judgment, right? Okay, now more language. This is really around feelings. I feel happy. Is that a giraffe language or jackal? Is that a feeling or a perception? It's a feeling. Giraffe. I think you're mean. It's perception. I feel you're being mean. Again, trap, because you're saying feel, but it's a judgment. It's a perception. I feel angry is a feeling. You make me angry is a perception. Ow! Okay, and then requests and demands, and this is interesting, but stop fooling around. Is that a demand or a request?
Demand.
Could you please turn the TV volume down a bit? It's a request. Would you be willing to make dinner tonight? Request. Why can't you be more helpful? That's a helpful question, isn't it? But have any of us ever said it? Maybe. Shut up. It's not a very nice one that kind of gets said a lot. Would you please stop making so much noise? Trick question. That's a perception, right? They don't think they're making a lot of noise. But would you please close the door to your room? specific action, non-judgmental. They could say no. There's always the possibility of a no in a request. So that gives you just a little taste of some of the elements around compassionate communication. That's a very fast compassionate communication conversation. Now, tools and practices. I love this. How do you communicate with your family on a regular basis and stay connected? This is internal communication for the family. And it's something I really have to work hard on. I have an internal communication business, and that doesn't mean I'm great at communicating with my family. I just think, when I think something, I think they know. They must know. I thought it. Why don't they know? And then some other ways to sort of logistically keep track of things. I wish Cheryl hadn't left, because Cheryl and her kids are now off to college, but and one just graduated from college. We're letting everyone know your life, Cheryl. You're not here, that's what you get. She used like a spreadsheet for the schedule, the family schedule every week, and they'd get together and it would be posted, and she'd email it, and so everyone had this spreadsheet. And of course, Outlook and email and all of those ways, but actually having some agreements and discussion around this and having a plan and an understanding makes a big difference. And like companies, this is something you never stop working on. Okay, so culture, the second segment that we're going to take a look at, has some really wonderful elements, because culture is fun. Culture is fun. So define your shared values as a family. Agree on the behaviors most needed to create your best family, so agreements. Identify your family's most treasured traditions and establish new ones. Create a symbol to represent the unique identity of your family, like a logo or a tag. So first we're just going to talk about values. Of course, values are core. All companies have values. We believe that we've got values as a family, but have we ever talked about our values together? So actually in the book, there are a number of pages that you can cut out these values, and then you can sort them, and you do an exercise where the family's together and you look at the values and you put them into different piles, and you come up with kind of a small, maybe 10 values that you all agree are really important. And that is just powerful in itself, because values also, they help you make decisions. They're the principles that guide your actions, and they're the foundation, really, of what happens in our workplace and at home, how we treat each other. And these are some values, but you can have interesting values. So this is just some of the more common ones. And then agreements. These are just so powerful as well. We often know of these as rules. And how fun is it to follow rules? No, who makes the rules? Not me, generally, right? You feel. So this is about getting together with your family, whoever your family is, kids or not, and saying, what is it that we agree to? What's important to us that reflects our values? And these are just some examples. Treat each other kindly, eat healthy food, spend money wisely. Some of this is obviously also just teaching your children as well, and them teaching us. And then traditions. Traditions and rituals are really like a core part of the connection. And for some people, they're even more important than others, but really for all of us, whether we know it or not, there are traditions and rituals that ground us. And sometimes they're very, very unconscious. But here's just 10 reasons for traditions and rituals from the book of New Family Traditions. And, impart a sense of identity, provide comfort and security, help to navigate change, teach values, pass on ethic and religious heritage, teach practical skills, solve problems, keep alive a sense of ancestors, and heal and generate memories.